Hey guys, Matt with Arcane here, and I want to go over some basic metal vocal techniques. The first vocal technique I want to discuss is the false chord scream. The next vocal techniques I'll get into in later videos, but right now I want to focus on false chord screams, i.e. death growls. Now, you've heard death growls whenever you listen to bands like Lorna Shore when they hit their lower, when the vocalist hits his lower tones. And then you've also heard it with Whitechapel, with Phil Bozeman. You've heard it with the band Opeth, with Michael Okerfeldt as a vocalist. Whenever he would do his growls, those would be the false chord growls. And the bass technique for a false chord growl can be summed up as an exasperated sigh. Now, imagine for a second, imagine that you are young again, you are living with mom and dad, and they tell you, you need to stop what you're doing right now and go do your chores. Really? That is your bass technique for a false chord. That rumbling sensation, those are your false vocal cords. I think they're scientifically called your ventricular folds or your vestibular folds, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to call them the false chords. So we'll take that noise, that and then we'll just kind of stretch it out over time. Now, when you first start off, it's going to sound really airy. It's going to sound really dry. It's not going to be there. It's not going to sound very well. But the whole point of this exercise right now is just to establish a baseline for the technique. Stretch it out for not quite as long as you can, but stretch it out for a good few seconds or so. Start off stretching it out for 3 seconds and then 5 seconds and then get it up to 10 seconds and then stretch it out as long as you can for a little while. It's gonna irritate a little bit. That's okay. Make sure and drink lukewarm water every so often. It should absolutely not hurt you though. Do that a couple times, warm your voice up to using that part of your throat. And then when you're okay with it, when you're comfortable with it, then we'll go into adding a little bit of air to it. So it's going to go from to something more like and what we're doing is we're adding a little bit of pressure in the diaphragm. So you're going to push a little bit with your diaphragm, with your stomach. It's going to create a little bit more air pressure up your windpipe. Now, there's not going to be more air coming out of your mouth. You don't want that to happen. You're just adding a little bit of back pressure in your windpipe so that it pushes on your vocal cords a little bit harder and creates a little bit more of a fruitful and a little bit more of a fuller sound in your growl. Now, we're going to do that a couple times. It's going to take you a while. Again, like I said, it's going to take you a while. It took me about maybe 7-8 months or so before I can actually start growling in my songs and it sounding natural. So from there, we can start working on like vowel sounds like A, E, I, O, U. And what that's going to do is it's going to get you, it's an exercise in coming straight into the technique. Instead of having to build up with the technique, it's going to exercise you in just jumping right in. So you're going to go from having to like drop into the technique or build up into the technique to just being able to just off the bat and practicing, and it sounds goofy, but practicing barking like a dog is going to really help. Coming in with a yo is going to really help too. Yo, yo, yo. And sometimes you can even go you instead of just you, because it kind of adds that initial startup, and it gives you a little bit of recovery time, and then you go right back into it. Yo. It'll It's all of these are really fantastic exercises for helping you condition your technique.
Every little mandate strips away your pride. They siege upon their empire and shoot them in the chest. They don't just
From here forward, once you have a good full sound, once you have a good solid grasp on that technique, you're going to start working on like your mouth shape. And what I mean by mouth shape, there's three different components. There's three main components into what goes into your mouth shape. That's going to be your tongue, your jaw, and your lips. What I want you to focus on is the different mouth shapes and what they do to the sound of your growl. So if I start off as little of an opening as possible with my lips, with my soft palate, with my jaw, with my tongue, everything. If I start off with as little opening as possible, you get a little bit more of just a rumbly sound, like you'll hear this in like super brutal death metal, like traditional style death metal stuff. And then once you start opening up your jaw, then it'll get a little bit more like beastly. If you open your jaw but keep your lips closed, it goes from the ooh to like a roar sound. You get a little bit more of a beastie sound, a little bit more like a bear's roar. And you start to get more into Michael Okerfeldt territory, maybe a little bit of Whitechapel. Then you can start working on like opening up your lips as well. So when you open your mouth up, of course, we don't have to go into too much detail. It's going to open up your sound. Now, when it comes to your tongue can do some very interesting things when it comes to your death growls. If I lay my tongue flat on the soft palate of my mouth, like where the tip kind of dips down, but the back of it is kind of pushed up in there, I can sort of get like a toilety sound that makes any sense. So, and what I'm doing is like I said, my tongue is close to my soft palate. The ends of my tongue, if you picture my tongue being my hand right here, the ends of my tongue are kind of curling up like that. And then like the tip is sort of curling up as well. You can hear, it almost sounds like I'm in a toilet bowl. And it's not the most ideal visualization ever, but it's the best one I got. When you curl your tongue, you can get a little bit more of like a snarly sound. And there's some interesting things you can get into with other noises like pig squealing. Getting the technique down will open up Pandora's box for you. And that is the main goal of this video. So I hope you guys took something from this video. I hope you guys learned something. If not, I hope you at least found it enjoyable. So y'all guys have a good one. Oh, opinions are more than welcome in the comments. Please give me some feedback if you are so inclined to do so. Positive or negative, I will enjoy it either way. Cheers.